A ban a day keeps the terrorists away. Or will it? This week, we just got a lot tougher on terror with 2 new rules. This is going to affect you if you travel or even if you don't. First of all, the Supreme Court lifted a lower court's ban on President Trump's travel bans. So now there are tighter visa rules for people from 6 mainly Muslim nations and all refugees. The countries that are affected are Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Libya, Iran, and Yemen. If people want a visa from these countries, they have to prove a close family or business tie to the U.S. Now, for families, this means that they have to have a parent, spouse, child, adult, son or daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, or sibling who's already in the U.S. If it's a business closeness, it would be something like professors being invited to universities to give a talk. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a ban on Muslims because of their religion. Well, each of these countries has they are either a state sponsor of terrorism, or they've been significantly compromised by terrorist organizations, or they contain active conflict zones. Now, I know some of you are also thinking there are other countries that fit into this paradigm, and why aren't they banned? Well, we may need to ban further countries. This is a rollout, and we're going to have to see how this goes. Another rollout, the second big change that happened this week, is with airport security that just got a whole lot tougher. There's going to be enhanced passenger vetting. There's going to be more explosive detection through both technology and dogs. And there's going to be more of an effort to root out insider threats to airlines. And we certainly need that because you may perhaps remember that some of the terrorists were in fact connected. They had friends or family or had other connections inside the airlines. So that has to be addressed. Now, this is going to apply to 180 foreign and U.S.-based airlines who are flying from 280 cities in 105 countries. This all seems, it's hard to get your head around all of this. This is a huge number of airlines. But think about it. Every day, there are 2,000 international flights that land in the U.S. That's 2,000 risks every day, risks of terror attacks. Now, since March, there has been a ban on laptops from countries in the Middle East, certain countries, and certain countries in Africa. And this is because they discovered that terrorists have learned how to make bombs that can look like batteries in laptops. So these changes that airport security has made is a compromise in order to avoid having to ban all laptops from all flights coming into the U.S. So keep that in mind, even though, yes, it's going to be more inconvenient. Now, I know some of you detest these changes, but I, for one, am glad. Not because I love spending more time in TSA lines or because I like keeping people out who aren't terrorists, but because the threat of terrorism is increasing every single day. It's not going to affect the fact that there are still lone wolf terrorists in the U.S., and in fact, this may make terrorists abroad try harder to persuade lone wolves in the U.S. to commit attacks, but it will help the people who are planning on coming in to commit attacks. Now, if these changes are making you mad or unhappy, ask yourself, is it because of one of 3 things? 1, politics. You don't like President Trump, and whatever it is that he would want, you would be against. Or 2, the inconvenience. It's been bad enough, hard enough to take our shoes off all the time, and now there are going to be a lot more time-consuming and annoying security checks. Or 3, and I think for most of us, this is really what it is. These 2 big get tougher on terrorism changes that happened this week are breaking through our denial about just how much at risk we are from terrorism. And, it's been nice to think, oh, well, yes, it's really sad. There are terror attacks in Europe. We can feel really sad about that. But, and terror attacks, of course, in the Middle East, in Africa, there are terror attacks in all these other parts in the world, but we don't want to believe that they will happen here too, that 9/11 can in fact happen again. And it can, especially in regard to these airlines. So, we need to understand that this is really why we're so upset. If you are upset, that it's really because we don't like having to confront the reality that terror is more of a risk, more of a problem today than ever before. And it's not just President Trump who's making these decisions. These aren't just his ideas. These are things that have come through Homeland Security, the FBI, the CIA, the TSA, all these other branches as well. People who have gotten these kinds of intelligence to this information that makes them decide that these things, which are going to be a bureaucratic nightmare, that these things are really worth it. So the bottom line is, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.